before I dive into this, I want to let you know that there's basically no gyms in your area that offer hybrid training. I'm not kidding. If they say they do, they probably don't. And if they really say they do, they probably suck at it. That training doesn't matter. It just means that if you're training like an animal and your nutrition was crap, you would see no result. On the other hand, if you didn't train at all, but your nutrition was good, you could actually... And the nutritionist says one thing and the trainer says another thing. And how do you know what nutrition you're supposed to take if you don't know the training the person does? Like, they should never be separate, because your training should match your nutrition and your nutrition should match your training, period. What's up, everybody? Coach Stefan here. Welcome to the Everyday Pursuit podcast. Oh my God, I'm very passionate about this specific topic because I'm going to tell you if you should hire a coach / trainer and if you should get an in-person one or online. Now, I will say I'm a little bit biased, but check this out. If you're thinking about hiring an in-person trainer, you don't want to make this one mistake, because this mistake will make you waste a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and frustrate you. So I'm going to give you some short, hopefully this episode's shorter, some short fire, and I want you to be an informed decision maker. Now, I'll just say this up front because I try to be really honest and transparent as much as I can. I own an online coaching company. That's why I do this podcast. So I am biased, but we also do in-person training. Right? So I'm not just an online coach. We actually have an in-person gym. And if you don't know this about me, me and my team, all my coaches have done in-person training, most of them for 10 years or longer. So online training, I call it coaching, by the way, and this is why, just to preface this. If I say coaching and training, they're interchangeable. People say personal trainers, usually saying in person, because that's what they do. You go to the gym and they train you. They just exercise you, and that's it. We use coaching because it's more well-versed, right? So when we do coaching, it is kind of everything: your nutrition, your lifestyle, your workouts, your mindset, which I'll dive into the differences and why I think one is better than the other, but it does matter on the specific individual. And I'm going to dive into that right now. So just let's get this out in the open. I've trained hundreds and hundreds of in-person people. If you don't know, I'll give you a little bit of background of my in-person experience, because online training is newer, right? Like, it probably blew up after COVID. So it's 2024, the beginning of 2024. So it's really been like bigger for like 4 years. Okay. Personal training has been around forever and ever and ever. I've trained so many in-person people in the military. Then so it started kind of in the military, one-on-one, females, males, tactical performance, stuff like that. A little bit of like martial art conditioning, fight training. Then I went to kind of like more private training, all types of ages and sexes, because I worked at Anytime Fitness and I was getting grandmas and moms and dads and teenagers and everything. Worked at commercial gyms, worked in physical therapy and rehab, which I know is not personal training, but you are kind of training the individual. Especially what I did as a tech, I had a lot of free reign to kind of help them out because of my knowledge and experience. I ran F45s. I worked at other group fitness places, kind of did some CrossFit. So I've trained people in a lot of different settings, mostly kind of performance and aesthetics. I did some fitness modeling myself. I ran my own personal training business out of 2 different self-made training facilities, doing all types of clientele, kind of more gen pop, business owners, also some tactical performance. So I've done a lot. I did my internship at a sports performance center. So I did in person from 2011 to 2021. So 10 years, a whole freaking decade before I ever went online. And so I've trained a lot of people, and I've seen what works and what doesn't work in person and online. And online, we've had 500-600 people come through our program, have tons of transformations. So I'm telling you that because this isn't just a one-dimensional person talking to you that's just like, oh, online's the best, and because I have a company and I'm trying to sell you. No, it is not for everybody. I'll let you know that right now, but I'm going to tell you who it is for. So a story time. All right. So I had a client, Bill. I talked about him, I think a couple episodes. I talk about him a lot because he was my first client after college when all the gyms shut down, that like believed in me and was like, let's go. And I was training him out of my garage. And with him, I did hybrid training. Now I'm going to explain basically the 3 types of training most people can get 4 types of training. And honestly, we do this on a lot of our calls when people are like, hey, I kind of want some help, but I don't know all my options out there. Here you go. Ready? So basically, option number 1 would be hybrid training. Now, before I dive into this, I want to let you know that there's basically no gyms in your area that offer hybrid training. I'm not kidding. If they say they do, they probably don't. And if they really say they do, they probably suck at it. And I know because I've done a lot of research on gyms that do really good hybrid training. There's very, 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 very few of them. All right, Coach Stefan, what is hybrid training? Hybrid training is in person and online. And by the way, this is what we do in person because it's the only training that I think super effective. I digress. So it's basically you're a full online client, plus you get to go in person. Now, what's the benefits? Well, before I dive into that, and stay with me here, you have to understand what the difference between online training and in-person training is. Okay. And I probably should explain that first, but it doesn't matter. Online training is usually through an app. A lot of people go, well, is it Zoom? Like, do you meet with me on Zoom? No, the standard of online coaching is you're trained through an app. You have pre-recorded exercises, almost like little mini YouTube videos that are walking you through kind of what to do. And, you know, some people say it's really easy to follow. I feel like it's literally the same thing as somebody training you in person. And the reason I say that, and yes, there's some differences. They're not there actively correcting you in form, but I've trained so many people where I'm like, all right, I'm going to do a squat. Watch me do a squat. And I go over and I do the squat and they watch me do the squat and then they go do the squat. And yes, I'm actively correcting them while they're doing it, but it's basically the same thing as a video. So I tell a lot of people online training can be good for beginners. Like, statement, we've had a lot of people come in that are brand new that have crushed it with our program. So I know online training can work. But that is the biggest difference, right? Like the person's physically not there. That's what in-person training has and trumps it. And I actually did episode number 2, it's called, and I'm looking at my notes, is hiring an in-person trainer worth your time and money. That was the second episode I created for this whole podcast. Why? Because it's a question I get a lot and I'm redoing it on episode 86 because I want to make sure that you guys are informed decision makers. Even if you don't work with us, I want you to kind of know the differences. So a lot of potential clients or people that come to me say, well, I don't understand how you can effectively train me in person. So this is why we're saying the difference. Again, in-person training, you go, you show up, you get an hour workout with the trainer. Usually they're an hour. If your trainer's trying to sell you on 30 minutes, please don't do it. Please, please, please do not do a 30-minute session. It is a waste of your time. I promise you. It is not enough to actually get an effective workout. I've heard it time and time again. I've worked for gyms that sold 30-minute sessions. Absolute terrible. Do not do it, okay? So usually 1 hour sessions. Now the 1 hour sessions, you basically show up, the trainer's like, hey, what's going on? And they kind of walk you through the workout and you probably get an awesome workout with the trainer. They're correcting you, whatever. That's irreplaceable. Let me say that again. Somebody walking you through in person, it is irreplaceable. It is, online can't do that. It doesn't do that. So if you're somebody that really feels like, oh, I have to have somebody actively there watching my form, or I will not show up to the gym if nobody's there, like I literally won't go, then get an in-person trainer. But for most people, online is better. And I'm going to walk through kind of why that is. Now, I will say to kind of back up, right? I'm biased, but I'll back up kind of the online coaching thing. We have clients that feel maybe not the most comfortable with their form. They record their form, they send it to their coach, and we give them corrections and breakdowns. It's not real time. It's not immediate, but it's actually more convenient and more effective long-term, which I'll also get into. So I'm sorry, I'm throwing stuff at you guys and I'm making you kind of plaques in your brain. I promise I'll come back to it, but this is the process that makes the most sense to me. So that's in-person training. You show up, you work out, you leave. That's basically it. Now you might say, well, what about nutrition? Because I will tell you right now that most people struggle with nutrition. If you're trying to change your body composition, you have to do nutrition. Well, here's the downfall. 99.9% of in-person trainers do not do nutrition. You want to talk about mind-blowing? So what you're telling me, and this is always crazy to me, absolutely crazy. A client comes and most of you guys are wanting to lose weight or gain muscle. It's aesthetics. Even if you have performance goals, you still want to change your body composition, right? You want to look different naked, right? You want to change your body, which means that in order to change your body composition, you have to be able to have on-point nutrition. Like that has to be good. Well, why? because nutrition is at the very least, 60 to 70% of your body composition, right? It doesn't mean that that training doesn't matter. It just means that if you're training like an animal and your nutrition was crap, you would see no results. On the other hand, if you didn't train at all, but your nutrition was good, you could actually potentially build muscle and for sure lose weight. So therefore, when it comes to changing your body composition, nutrition is more important. So you don't get that with in person, right? Again, benefits are you show up, maybe it's a higher form of accountability. They're actively correcting your form. And I always say this, in-person training is really, really, really good for two types of people. Number one would be very, very beginners. I mean, it is nice having somebody there correcting your form and watching you and making you feel comfortable, right? And then the second category would be high performance or rehab. So if you're getting rehabbed, yeah, it's probably a little more safe to have somebody in person, like post-surgery, just got cleared to work out again. Although we train those people too, and they're usually fine, but like, that's the truth. And then I would say, having the, and then high performance athletes, right? So you look at the NFL, you look at college, they have sports strength and conditioning coaches in person. Now, they don't really need them there. Part of the reason is they just all go to the weight room. It's like one or two coaches to 40 teammates. So it's not like really one-on-one. It's big group training. It's not small group training. And part of the reason is that's how they staff. Could these players do online? Sure. Right. And they're high performance athletes. They're like top 0.00001% of physical specimens. So they might need somebody to like really like critique little things. Everybody else in between, I think, does better online. And here's why. Because once I explain these two components, you're going to understand what the tiers are in hybrid training. Okay. So in online really does cover a lot more basis. The number one thing it solves is communication and accountability, which I will say that most people struggle with 100%. I get on, I don't know, a couple hundred calls, if not 1,000 calls every single year with people that are looking to get help. And almost every single one, when I ask them what would be valuable to them or what they need help with, basically is accountability, right? And communication. And I say communication because they have questions, they want knowledge. So like that's number one. Well, in-person training, just FYI, it doesn't solve that. Like you're not texting your coach once you leave. I mean, there might be some really cool coaches that do that, or trainers, sorry, in-person trainers that do that. But generally, like that's not included in the package. Especially if you go to like a commercial gym down the street, you're going to pay $70 to $100 a session. And then when you leave, you can't talk to your trainer at all, which is really counterproductive because people don't really, I say this boldly, I don't think people really struggle with like what to do in the gym and how to do it. Now, there are people, that is true, but I would say that the vast majority of people actually struggle with their nutrition and consistency around lifestyle habits more than they do the actual gym. Now, getting there maybe, and trust me, there's a lot of people that I talk to that are lost in the gym, or they don't know what to do, or they're not following a program. But again, does working out with a trainer 2 to 3 days a week, because that's pretty average for people. If you're going 5 days a week, more power to you. You're going to pay $1,500 plus a month easily, and you don't get nutrition. But if you want to exercise 5 days a week, let's say you go in person and you pay you pay for 2 days. What are you doing the other 5 days of the week? How many steps are you getting in? What's your water? What are your macros? Are you actually doing it? And I know that there's downfalls because when I trained in person, I consider myself a pretty good trainer. And I would train people, let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I didn't really know, if I'm being honest with you, I had no idea what they were doing. I would even write down on a sticky note, hey, here's what I want you to do. And the problem is the sticky note didn't have videos. It didn't track data. It didn't do anything. They go, yeah, I was like, hey, did you do your weekend workouts? Right? Train them on Friday. Did you do stuff on Saturday and Sunday? Because they're back in on Monday. Well, I read what you put down. I didn't know what the barbell step back lunges. I didn't know how to do those. So did you do it? Well, no, I tried to YouTube it and then I couldn't find it. And so I didn't do it. That is the story of in-person trainer. And if you're a trainer and you're listening to this, you know exactly what I'm freaking talking about. And clients won't execute. And even if they did it, how do I know? There's no check off. There's no accountability. There's no data. How many sets and reps did you do? What weight? Like there's nothing. There's no information. It's arbitrary. And this is the same problem when in-person trainers try to help you with nutrition. They'll go, hey, so did you eat healthy? Like, how was your weekend? Oh yeah, I kind of ate healthy. All right, let's work out. That's about it. Like maybe you have a really good in-person trainer that goes over nutritions or sits down and does macros with you and all that. Well, okay, well now that took 20 minutes out of the 60-minute session, and now you got to rush through your workout, right? Like there's downfalls. In-person training, there's huge pitfalls with communication, with help with nutrition, with accountability, and with workouts outside of the sessions, which matter. If you're going 2 to 3 days a week, you should be active. I'm not saying in the gym, active 5 days a week. I think for most people, maybe even 6. So what are you doing those other days? And I can tell you right now that I talked to this year alone, 2023, this past year, I probably talked to over 150 people that did in-person training before, and 98% of them, their trainer that they had did this exact thing. I was like, what did you do on your days off? Oh, I kind of just was like researching stuff. Okay, whoa. So you had an in-person trainer that you paid $800 to $1,000 a month for, that trained you 3 days a week, and then on the other days, you were literally at the start line again. You were literally doing the same thing you were doing before you hired the trainer. So you only know what you're doing on the days with the trainer because you become kind of dependent on them, and they're not teaching you, they're not guiding you, they're not educating you. So the other days, you basically just did random stuff and you just YouTubed it, which you were doing before. Well, yeah. And all these people are coming to me because they didn't get results. Of course you didn't get results. You had no accountability outside of those hours. You had no guidance. You had no education. You had nothing customized you. You had no help with nutrition. Can you tell I'm passionate about this? And so that's what frustrates me with traditional in-person training. It's a broken model. It doesn't work long-term. How do I know that? Because within the 3 years we've had this business, we've had 10 times more transformations online than I've ever seen in person. Not even kidding. Like 10 times. It's insane. And part of the reason is in-person training solves one thing, the workout. Do you think your workout is your biggest problem? Do you? Is you going to the gym and hitting it hard, like out of all the health habits you do, out of all the food you eat, out of everything you do, your sleep, your stress, you think that's your biggest issue? I would probably guess not. I would say that's actually your least big issue. And I know because I do this for a living, and I get with people that are going to the gym, and they're going to the gym a lot of our first responders are going to the gym 3 to 4 days a week, maybe even 5 days. And when they come to us, they do not have the physique they want. They do not have the health they want. Well, why? Because they're not doing their nutrition. They have no accountability. They have no education. They have no guidance. Their health habits are poor. So I would argue very heavily that those other things are more important to long-term and probably short-term health and body composition, and probably performance too. So now that you know the difference, okay, and I know I'm pooping on in-person training, it's not all bad. It just has gaps. It just does. I've been on both sides. So let's go way back to hybrid training, and I'm going to let you know. Like I said, most people don't do hybrid training. It's not an option. I wish it was. Every gym should have this, but from a business standpoint, it's really hard to run. And that's why no gyms do it. And you have to get really good, committed, high salary coaches to be able to do this. Basically, hybrid training is online. Like I just said, all the things online. And I'm not going to go into the full pitch. If you're interested, you can go to our website at thepursuit-hp.com, or you can hit me up on Instagram, StephenKoons_fitness, or our other one is Pursuit_HP. And you can fill out a form and we could chat, and we'll go in more in depth. This isn't me selling my program. This is just saying in general. And to give you guys another side note, I've done B2B coaching. So I've actually coached coaches. So other businesses that are fitness coaches, I've coached their business. So this isn't just my business model. This is kind of industry wide. And I'm telling you guys what I've seen with thousands of clients inside and outside of our business. Okay. So hybrid training is the best of both worlds because you get the in-person, or, you know, how we look at it is, hey, you're an online client. Okay, great, cool. So you get the accountability, you get the customization, you get the communication, you get the education, you get the community. Oh, and I get to go in person? Dang. Now, the problem is it is more expensive. You have to find a trainer that is willing to be like, hey, when you leave, you can message me anytime you want. I'm going to have your custom macros for you. I am a coach because I do everything: training, mindset, nutrition, accountability, education, 5 things, right? Like everything. I tell people all the time, I go, anything that you can think of with your health and fitness journey, we do. Oh, what supplements do I take? Oh yeah, we'll help you with that. Well, what do I eat and when do I eat it? Oh yeah, that too. How do I train and what days and how long? Oh yeah, we do that. Man, I'm really struggling. I need some mindset work. I need a winning mindset. Oh, we definitely do that. So there's no stone unturned. It's a full service, like a freaking Walmart supercenter, but like better, right? You should just go to one place and then you should have all your things solved. It's like doing a financial service. I know nothing about finance world, by the way, but I would imagine it's like going to a finance service, like, oh, we just help you with this one thing. Okay, well, then I got to go to this person and this person and this person. Then eventually I'm dealing with 4 people. And then I want to know, like, well, this guy told me this. So should I be doing that? I would rather go to one person that goes, any of your financial needs, I got anything you can think of. Really? Yep, we do it all. And now the communications with one person, which is also a huge downfall in the fitness industry, because this is what happens. People sit there and they go, oh, well, my trainer doesn't do nutrition. Then they go hire a nutritionist. And then the nutritionist doesn't even know the trainer. And the nutritionist says one thing and the trainer says another thing. And how do you know what nutrition you're supposed to take if you don't know the training the person does? Like, they should never be separate, because your training should match your nutrition and your nutrition should match your training, period. There's no in between, unless the trainer and the nutritionist are like in the same company or they communicate all the time. And so there's poor client, right? Then there's like a mix match. And if you've ever had a doctor and had a specialist and you're like, well, the specialist said this and the doctor said this, and they're not in the same practice or whatever, big pain in the butt, right? Like, there's miscommunications, there's barriers, there's all these things. It's not your fault. They should do the communication. They're the experts. And that's why we do everything. All right. Then, so hybrid training, right? That's number 1. That would be like top tier. That's what you should go do if you have it in your area and you can't afford it. It's going to be, it's going to be quite a bit of money. But I like hybrid training, which is why we opened a gym in Gilbert for that. But I will say there's a downfall with hybrid training from a business standpoint. Not that this is a business podcast, but it is hard because you're still dealing with the in-person training stuff, which a lot of our first responders would be the schedule. If you have a crazy schedule and you're busy, number 1, if you go get a good coach, and this is also on the second tier, which is in-person training only. I'm going to get to that too. The biggest downfall is schedule, right? Like, there's only you have one trainer and he only has so many hours in the day. And if he's good, he probably has a full schedule, which our trainers do. And if he has a full schedule, it also makes it really challenging because, like, you're like, oh, I want to come in every Monday at 5 p.m. And then if you're a nurse or a cop or a firefighter, your schedule changes. So it's basically, just long story short, it's basically impossible to have like a really good schedule with a lot of first responders, depending on your position and all that stuff. It's really challenging. So anyways, the other tiers will go fast. So tier 2, in-person training. We already talked about that. It's not a very good option. In-person only. I don't like it. Unless you have like the top tier and your trainer's like, hey, you could text me. He basically makes it hybrid training, right? Or she, hey, you could text me anytime. I'm going to do your macros. I'm going to do your nutrition. We're going to do body scans. We're going to do all this. And they just like make it like that. They're a hybrid trainer. They're just not charging you hybrid prices. More power to you. Let's go. And they're like putting you on an app and giving you workouts and all that on the days off. Yeah, that's awesome. It just doesn't happen. Like, very, 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 very rare. And then the third option, and this is not in order of like importance, it's more in order of price, if anything else. And third option would be online training, which is what we do, right? Where we sit you down and we say, hey, we're going to create something that's built around you. And not only are we going to create it built around you from the beginning, but as you progress, whether your lifestyle changes, schedule changes, anything, we're going to keep it customized to you. So we're going to give you an onboarding call. We're going to give you 24/7 access to your coach. We're going to give you a nutrition consultation, custom training, custom macros. And by the way, those are both built around your physical capability, your schedule, your lifestyle, and your goals. So if any of those things change, physical capability, lifestyle, schedule, or goals, yeah, your program also changes. How? We have 24/7 access to your coach. You can message them basically anytime. We give our coaches one day off, so it's 24/6. Basically, you can still message them whenever you want. Really fast communication. We have weekly in-depth check-ins where we're giving you feedback. We're forcing you to assess yourself and your progress too. So there's the mindset work you wanted. There's the accountability you wanted. There's the communication you wanted. And we're science-based coaches. So we look at the data, both qualitative and quantitative, which basically means I want you to be like, I like this program, right? Which would be qualitative, right? Like, not numbers, like this is going well. I feel this way about it, which matters. And then the quantitative, I lost 10 pounds. You can quantify it. It's numbers, it's data, it's science, because the science doesn't lie. And you want to know you're making progress. And you don't want me to say, hey, good job, bro. And you're like, well, the numbers haven't moved. And so they both go together. You need both parts of data, but you definitely don't get that usually in person. Uh, so we have that. You have an awesome community where you can, and that is a big thing that people underlook. I just became part of an awesome mastermind, and I could tell you over the last couple of days, I have a really good sense of community that I've never had before in my life, because as a business owner and entrepreneur, it's a little bit lonely. Not gonna lie. So I found other business owners and entrepreneurs and people that were doing what I'm doing, or trying to achieve what I'm trying to achieve. And I surrounded myself by like-minded, hungry individuals. Oh, that's weird. That's literally what we do in our program, right? Because we have a community of first responders, moms, dads, single people, it doesn't matter. And the overarching theme is you guys are super busy and you want to get better, right? In your health, your mental health, in areas of your life, in your career. And so you're surrounded by people that have the same goal. What do you know? It works really, really well. So in-person or online coaching solves all those things. Again, I say coaching because we are a coach, right? And look, I don't have anything against a life coach at all. I've talked to life coaches and they're really good. They're basically more like a therapist, if anything. What we do, what I would say, and it depends on how much the client wants out of it. Some clients are like, I just want to do exercise and nutrition and fist bump and that's it. But I would say that a lot of my clients have been training for a while. I'm kind of their life coach. Like, I'm not in every component of their life. I never overset boundaries. I don't want to really be in their relationships and stuff like that, but it comes up. Well, why? Oh, because if you're stressed out, if you're going through a breakup, if you're moving, if whatever, that all affects your mindset, which affects how you eat and you train and you sleep and you're stressed, right? So it's all interconnected, and it's very hard if you're a good coach, not a trainer, coach, to disconnect that stuff, because we know they're all connected. Okay. So that's option 3. And option 4, some people's favorite, I've done this before, is group fitness, right? Which is also another form of in-person training. And if you ever had a call with me, you know that I'll tell you this. I don't think group fitness is bad. I think group fitness has a lot of components that are good, but it still has downfalls. It's not customized to you. I do see a lot of injuries. And I mean, this could be CrossFit and all the other stuff. It's really group fitness is good for people that are already fit. I mean, in my opinion, if you're doing group fitness, you should already be fit and it should be your fun day. And that's how I use it. Like, there's a place down the road, and I use it as kind of my like, hey, let's go have fun and let's just go like crush my soul. And my wife really likes group fitness, and that's her vibe, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is most group fitness places, this one's actually pretty solid. They do phases and try to get you to progressive overload. Most group fitness places are random and they're not really focused on certain things. I mean, I like CrossFit too. And, but there's gaps. Okay. And these gaps might not be the most important thing for you. Maybe you're like, hey, my nutrition is 100% on point. My training's on point, but it's hard to stay motivated because I'm bored. Well, you probably need a better actual structured program. But if it makes you happy, go to group fitness. Maybe that's what you need, and I've been in stages of my life, full transparency with you guys, where I was on a super structured program, but I really like craved being around people. So I went to a group fitness class 1 or 2 days a week, but eventually it stopped because it was conflicting with what was actually getting me good results, which was progressive overload structured program. So those are basically your 4, right? Hybrid training, which if you have it in your area, fine. Be cautious though. Be really cautious, because if you call around and you're like, ooh, do you have hybrid training? Most trainers won't even know what that is. If they say yes, call me, like text me, message me on social media or something, scrutinize it, because it probably isn't the way that it should be. Again, biased, but I think that we run it the way it should be, and it's not easy. And I would imagine a big gym can't do it. It's really hard. So just know that. And then the other option would be in-person only, which again, if you're a beginner or a high-level athlete or rehab, go do it. Go try it out. I think it's missing a lot of components. That's what I think. I think it's missing nutrition, accountability, guidance outside the sessions, community, and maybe none of that matter to you. Maybe you're like, I just want to go for 10 sessions and get my squat and deadlift form, and then I'm totally good to go on my own. Okay. But then you need to do online training. Why? It's a great question. Because you still need a program to follow. I'm a coach. I've been training myself for 17 years and coaching people for 13 years. And I follow a program every week, every day. Why? Because I still need structure. I can't just go do random stuff in the gym. Even as somebody that has a big knowledge base on fitness, nutrition, training, performance, recovery, doesn't matter. I still need, I still have to follow something. And when I don't, and sometimes I don't, Sometimes I'm like, this week I'll have a phase end and I won't create a new workout for myself and I'll get lazy and I'm like, I'll just kind of do whatever. I always end up missing things and I always end up like selling myself a little bit short. So, online training, like I said, is really good for people that go, hey, and this is the best way to look at it. So just listen up. Online coaching, I said training again. I mean coaching, same thing. Online coaching is really, really good for people that go, look, I do really need accountability. I feel like I'm kind of a little bit lost when it comes to nutrition. Like maybe I kind of know what to eat. You don't have to know anything, but most people say I kind of know what to eat, but I don't really know the whole macro thing or the portions and I need to figure that out. And, like I do kind of like going to the gym, but I feel lost. Or some of the other guys that we train, usually males, are like, yeah, I'm crushing at the gym, but I've hit a plateau. So any of that realm, like you're going and you kind of feel like you're winging it, like deep down inside, you're like, I kind of found this on bodybuilding.com or from some Instagram guy, and I'm doing like a push-pull leg. I kind of been doing the same thing since high school. Like you go to the gym. If you need your teeth pulled to go to the gym, you can be successful online. It's just a little more challenging. So you have to know yourself. But again, we've had both spectrums. We've had people that are like, tell me, this is what they say, I'm super lazy and I'm super unmotivated and super depressed, and they do online coaching and they do really well. But most of our clients are people that are like pretty motivated. Like they want to do better, but they just need these things: a structure, a plan, accountability, education, and community. And usually our first responders, cops, firefighter, military, that's like their bread and butter, right? Like, hey, dude, I need a structure. I thrive off a structure. Tell me what to do and when to do it. And I just want to go execute. You will crush online coaching. And I know because we've had 500-600 transformations in a couple of years with that group of people because they do well off that. Part of the reason I've developed our program like this is because I know this. I know it because I was in the military, and just being a coach, I know what gets people to get results. I know what makes them tick. And honestly, it's not a lot. It's not me sitting there spotting you in person and being like, good job. That's not what gets you results. And here's the thing about in-person training. I'm going to jump back on this wagon real quick. The thing about in-person training alone that really bugs me, it's the most dependent model for you. Yeah, you as the client. Oh yeah, you're going to be dependent on them forever. How do I know? Most in-person clients stay with their trainers for years, and a lot of them don't get results. And our head coach, Bryce, and Mike, and everybody that is, we have 4 other coaches besides me, they've all experienced this. Like I've had in-person clients for years, and I don't have my hands in their lives enough to give them long-term results, but they'll keep coming back because they go, I need to train with you. And here's the sad thing. I've had people train with me for 3 years and then they stopped because they moved or they couldn't afford it or something. And almost every single time I check on them because I'm trying to keep a relationship, and a couple months out, they go, I'm like, hey, how's things going? Oh, I'm not working out again. I need to find another trainer. Why not? Well, I only like working out when I'm with you. Oh, wow. So I made you fully dependent. That sucks. So basically the workouts were so good and you were so uneducated and so incapable. Really, I'm not saying that to be mean, but like, that's what's happening, right? Like the person goes, I only train when I'm with you and the workouts are so good that I can only go with you. What happens when you take that perfect thing away? No, you can't train. It's like a pre-workout. Oh, I have the best workouts when I take pre-workout. So when you don't take pre-workout, you have the worst workouts and you don't go. Like people do that, by the way. So they always have to take pre-workout. Is that a long-term solution? No, that's terrible. You're going to die from a heart attack. Well, it's the same thing with in-person training alone. You have to be dependent eventually. And that's what we do with our program is we teach people, hey, we don't want to work with you forever. And I'm not kidding when I say that. Some people stay with us 1, 2, 3 years. That's fine. Some people might want to stay forever, but they're getting less accountability. Like year 1, they have maybe a lot. Year 2, they have less. Year 3, they're not really have any accountability. They're just following a program. That's how it should be. Every coach that actually cares about you in any company, not even just us, they should be getting you to be eventually 100% independent on your own, period. You should not come forever. And they should just know, instead of keeping you because they're scared they're not going to get clients, they should say, you know what? I want to do such a good job that you crush it and you tell people how amazing we are and somebody else. Because I don't know if you know this, America's the fattest it's ever been. We have obesity epidemic year after year after year after year. People need help. Why are people so obese? Now, I'm not even, that's a whole nother episode, but I will say that a big thing is there's no long-term solution. People can lose weight. That's not the issue. People can't keep it off. and people can't continue to lose the weight. That is the issue. I mean, bear with me for a second. You can argue with me, but that's the real issue. And we know that because people do yo-yo diets, which means they lose and they gain it back and they lose and they gain it back. Or they do keto and they cut 30 pounds and a year later they're 40 pounds heavier and all this stuff. Losing weight is not the problem. It is keeping it off and finding long-term sustainable solutions where you can do it independently. So you can save time, okay? You can save money. You can create freaking confidence because it's your body. And it blows my mind because you're in your body every day till the day you die, which means you're eating all day, you're moving all day, all these things. Okay, so you have to eventually, I would think you would eventually be like, this is something that's inevitable. I have to do it daily, multiple times per day, especially eating, like kind of sometimes like, why would you not learn how to eat? You got to do it all day, every day till the day you die. So with your training and your body, you got to move it and do things physically with it all day, every day till the day you die. Why would you not want to learn? People get really educated on finances and get help and all this stuff because they're like, oh, money's just there and I have to figure out money because money makes the world go around. And if I don't learn it now, but then you look at the way our world is, and there's actually a lot of people that they know that, but they still avoid being educated on finances. And not to go on too much of a tangent, but like why? Well, I just think people don't want to take action. It's easier to play the playing stupid role, right? Like I just didn't know. Instead of saying, you know what, I'm actually a little upset I don't know. Like I feel like I should know this because I have to deal with money all the time or I have to deal with relationships all the time. Like I should probably get better in this area. But people are avoidant of hard work and that's pretty common in society. And it's not me pooping on you or anything like that, but you just have to ask yourself. So here's the thing. Now that hopefully I've sold you on this, I want to go through this one more time so you understand kind of what online coaching comes with. And look, I'm 100% serious when I say this. If this isn't you, like if you're like, I don't need help in these areas, don't do it. 100%. Do not do it. Okay? Because I don't want you doing anything that wouldn't benefit you. But if you feel like you need more education around training, nutrition, performance, recovery, lifestyle habits, you should do online coaching. If you want to spend less money, basically that probably is everybody, then in-person training, hybrid training, it's probably more expensive than group training. But remember, group training, I wouldn't do it. It solves one little teeny component. It's not customized to you. It probably doesn't work very well. You're not getting help with nutrition. Okay. But they're not that much far off. So less money. It's 100% more convenient because it's based on when you can work out and what days and how long and what your body can do. If you feel like you need accountability, if you feel like you crave a community of like-minded individuals that also want to better themselves. So if that's you, do online coaching, preferably in our program. There's my plug. But if not, then don't do it. But I will tell you from my position, I see a lot of people that need this and a lot of people that struggle. And that's why I kind of developed this. Now, I didn't create online coaching. I didn't reinvent the wheel. That's not what I'm saying. I saw the wheel and I shined it up and I made it more beautiful. And it's a proven process that works within our community. And you know, if you guys have specific questions on like, well, should I do this? And I talk to this person, literally ask me. If you don't work with us, that's totally fine. I know this episode's more of like a pitch episode, but this is, if you can't tell, I'm very passionate about this. And it's not because it's my business, it's because these are facts. This is true. I've seen this. I've tested it with data because I've literally sat there and trained people and for years and saw them not get the results that I felt they should get, right? I trained them with the same skill level, same knowledge, same education, but there were missing tools, right? It doesn't matter how good you are at building a house. If you go there and you don't have the materials and you don't have the worker, you could be the best construction worker ever and the best engineer and planner and everything. But if the materials aren't there, if the tools aren't there, you can't do the job right. So really, I filled in all the tools. I gave people all the tools and all the materials and everything they need. And for some people it's discouraging because they've tried to build the house over and over and over and over and over again. And they go, well, why would it work this time? I tell them like, well, if I gave you extra support, extra tools, extra material that you've never had before, do you think it would make a difference in how the house looks and functions this time and the chances of accomplishing it? Well, yeah. Well, that's what we do. Okay. So here's my final thing for you guys. You need to decide what's best for you, but regardless of what you do, you need to get help. And you might be that, and there's a big thing I learned this week. about myself, and you might learn it about yourself in this episode, you're probably more prideful than you think. And I think pride can actually be a good thing sometimes. I really do. I think, it just kind of holding on and having some pride in yourself is good. And like, trying things on your own is good. And not just seeking out and being like, not being weak, but being like, oh, I need help the first time for everything. You shouldn't do that. I don't think you should do that. I think you should try things on your own. But also, if you're listening to this podcast, I would assume that this isn't the first time you've tried to eat healthy. This isn't the first time you've tried to follow a structured program. This is not the first time you've tried to lose weight. This is not the first time you told yourself, I'll really do it this time, and then you didn't do it, and you put the weight back on, and you didn't hold yourself accountable. I don't think that at all. I think this is probably the 10th, 20th, 30th, 5th time. I don't know, but it ain't the first time. And so you have to just identify that like you need help. Now that help can look different. It could be hybrid training, in person, online, group fitness if you want. It doesn't matter. But you have to also understand that this is not going to be a quick fix. This isn't something where you can go, I want to go get a coach and I'm just going to do a couple months because I'm trying to be cheap and I want to save money. And then in 3 months, I'm going to learn everything. I'm going to not only get all the results I want, but I'm going to learn everything I need to be super consistent and sustainable and build habits for the next 10 years. No, you're not. That's why we train people for at least 12 months in our program, because that ain't going to happen. That is not going to happen. And the whole fitness industry that's selling you these 12-week programs are actually setting you up for terrible failure, in my opinion, for 99% of people that need help, because you actually need time to learn, time to get educated, time to have long-term results, time to implement these habits, time to go through a whole calendar year so you know what it's like training, eating, recovering, having a schedule through all the seasons, January through December. And that's part of the reason our program is really effective. But you need to identify that you do need to get help. And here's the last thing I'm going to tell you. You've probably got help in other areas of your life. I'll be the first to tell you, I've got help in my marriage. I've got help in my faith. I've got help in my finances. Why? Because there's people that are better than me. That plain and simple. There's people that are more educated, that are more wise, that are better at that. And I just want to do better. I don't really care. I don't have pride in those areas. Like I literally don't care. I'm like, I'm humble. Please teach me. I'm a sponge. I suck. Show me your ways. If I trust that person, right? Because I just want to do better. I don't care if somebody had to help me so I did better. Am I still doing better? Yes. Doesn't matter how I got there as long as it's, moral, right? I don't care. So you need to do that because you probably, I would hope so. If not, maybe this is a wake up call for you, but you've probably seen in other areas of your life that like you need help and you've actually asked for help. So why is fitness an area that you don't? Like, have you got financial help? Have you been to marriage counseling? Have you asked a friend for relationship advice? You do this all the time. Why are you avoidant with fitness? Oh, I just could do it on my own. It's not as complicated. Yeah, it is. If it wasn't, you'd be exactly where you want to be. You would have the physique you want. You'd have the body you want. Same thing. You'd have the performance you want. You would have the health you want, the energy you want, but you don't. So stop telling yourself you know what you're doing. Stop telling yourself you know how to do it because you don't. And that's okay. And I'm here to show you the reality so you can get help, whether it's a little bit of help or a lot of bit of help. If you want more in your life and more for your life, you have to reach out for people that know more and that are better, or you're going to just have a longer, more painful route. So instead of this straight trajectory, you're going to be like this, right? All these switchbacks till you get here when you could have just had boom, straight route. You get a pick though. So I appreciate it, guys. If you have any questions on the differences between training, in person or online or whatever, hopefully this episode helped you. And when I created episode number 2, that was a long time ago. It was like over a year and a half ago. So I've seen so many people come through our in-person hybrid training, our online. So I even have a better take of what works, what doesn't work, and what you probably need since I recorded that, which is why I'm spitting this fire again. Appreciate it, guys. I love you, and I'll talk to you next time.